All right, we're going to go ahead and dive in. Good afternoon. Hello, my name is Grace Sullivan Zirkle. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the Director of New Student and Family Programs, which means it's my job to help welcome all of you to Duke and help orient you both through the summer and into orientation and some to the first semester as well. So thank you all for being here. Thanks for joining. If this is your fifth, sixth, seventh summer transition series, you know what to expect. If it's your first, welcome. We're glad you're here. Our summer transition series is designed to bring experts straight to you and so that you can hear from them live, see their faces, get to know more Duke community members, and have your answers or your questions answered. Today, I'm really excited that we have colleagues from Housing and Residence Life, as well as the Office of Student Conduct and Community Standards, and they're going to talk a little bit today about getting to know the Duke Community Standard and Residence Life policies, both of which are critical to your first semester and all of your years here on campus. Before I hand it over to them, we're going to go over a little bit of housekeeping. Again, it's the same as previous summer transition series if you've joined us before. We ask that you ask questions in the Q&A feature below. I will tell you that this is a jam-packed webinar and there's a lot of information. I might recommend you hold off until our presenters are done to start asking questions because I know they're going to get to a lot of the common questions that come up here. But when you have questions, if you will go ahead below and put them in the Q&A, that would be great. We have disabled the chat again because we know there's going to be so many questions. It's easy if you send all the comments, questions, needs through the Q&A and not the chat. And then we are recording this webinar. Again, it's going to be jam-packed. There's lots of information. And so we want to make sure that you are able to review it again. And this is where I also like to say a little hello to those of you who are watching in the future, who only are tuning into the recording. This is a special summer transition series in that we do expect all of our students to either join live or watch the recording just because of how critical it is to understand the standards to which you will be held and the policies that we have in our residence halls and on our campus. So, all right. With that, I am going to hand things off to my colleagues and let them introduce themselves, and we'll start with Dean Solomon.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dean Jill Solomon. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I'm the Associate Dean in Residence Life. And I'm really excited to meet all of you. I'm going to pass it off to Aaron, Dean Lash.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aaron Lash Jr. I use the he series pronouns, and it's a pleasure to be here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're going to talk about the housing policies and Duke Community Standard. Look at the Duke Community Standard as a code of conduct, more so in terms of what you're agreeing to doing by being a Duke student. Thank you all for joining us today, whether you're with your loved ones or whether you're solo in your room or a comfortable area. Wanted to talk about our offices, general policies, again, the Duke Community Standard. We're going to go over some important policies within residence life, conduct meeting types, what happens if you violated a policy, our Duke undergraduate reporting policy, because oftentimes students are like, well, Dean Lash, I had to meet with the residence coordinator. What's going to happen? Will this be on my record? We're going to explain all that so that way, you'll know exactly what to expect if that's the case. And then most important, staying safe on campus. Kick it off to Jill.
Yeah, Grace, you can click all the way through those things. Thank you. So what is our housing policy? So I 10 out of 10 recommend going to look at our housing website because that is something that is super important and you'll be able to find all of our policies on there and understand what our expectations are. I also suggest that you read your housing license agreement. This is really important because whether or not you read it, you will be held to that standard. So please make sure you are reading those things and making sure that you understand what the expectations you are living up to. If you scan this QR code on the screen, it'll take you to our Housing and Residence Life website. So I'm going to pass it back off to Dean Lash.
Alrighty. So again, we talked about a little bit in terms of what is OSCCS, Office of Student Conduct and Community Standards, and the Duke Community Standard. It's an agreement. Biggest goal within the Duke Community Standard is strengthening personal responsibility and accountability through investigation and resolution of alleged violations. Anytime a student is named in an incident report, whether it's a faculty member, an academic dishonesty, or another student or a staff member, everything's alleged until we meet. Whether you're meeting on a residential concern or a non-academic concern, myself or my colleagues within my office, everything's alleged. It's not guilty until proven innocent. You are presumed innocent until we have preponderance, and preponderance is it more likely than not 50% and a feather that you violated something or not. And again, all this is a part of the transformative educational process that we want. We have a role in your development, and sometimes you learn through making a poor choice or a certain decision, and we learn from it. We grow from it. You're not defined by your worst moment or something incidental. The goal is for us to grow together through accountability conversations, discomfort sometimes, because some of you maybe have never gotten in trouble before. But if that's the case, we hope it's not, but if it is, we want to learn from it. Ideally, the Duke Community Standard is a body of beliefs combined with policies and procedures that express a standard for a behavior that all Duke students agree to uphold as a commitment to enhancing our learning. Again, anytime you're involved in any sort of misconduct process, whether punitive or non-punitive, you are presumed to be not responsible until you're provided a reason as to why we found you more than likely responsible. Next slide. So why does the Duke Community Standard exist? Great question, Grace. I'm just joking. To help guide students to making great decisions beyond Duke, we don't just care about who you become in the classroom, but we really also care about who you become outside the classroom. Um, you all have majors. Some of you may be undeclared. Some of you may are, super excited to, enter upon a new graduate program or professional program. Whatever decision you make, we want to make sure that, who you are as a scholar is most important, but outside of that classroom component, who are you becoming as a human? Who are you becoming as a leader? Those things. To help enhance a climate for safety, honesty, fairness, respect, and accountability at Duke University, again, we all are all a part of the university community. We want to make sure that we are developing students in and outside the classroom, making sure that folks are making responsible decisions that aids in one's safety. An environment where we can be honest with each other, we can be fair, respect, and accountable. If you play a role in harming someone, whether non-intentional, whether it's noise or a gathering, being able to own, oh, this is what I did do, let's learn from it. Next slide. Oh, and to create a sense of belonging and shared ownership and responsibility for the community we share. It's a privilege to be at Duke University. It's a privilege to be where you all are at. In order for you all to be here, someone received a no in their application here. So we want to make sure that you all are we have a huge responsibility as staff and faculty to create a sense of belonging with you all, but then hopefully you all are able to foster that throughout your time here. Next slide. So this is where we're going to transition to important policies and community standards. It'll be a multitude of Duke community standard policies and residence life policies. So feel free to scan the QR code here. This is our Duke Community Standard website. We are currently going through revision, so you will also see a revised policy piece as well. So our most prevalent DCS and housing policies, alcohol consumption, academic dishonesty, cannabis and other legal drugs, fire safety and smoking, guest policy, hazing, harassment, quiet hours, and our new one, unauthorized surveillance and photography. So I'll start alcohol consumption. So underage possession slash consumption. Students under 21 years of age are not permitted to purchase or possess or consume alcohol beverages. East Campus is notoriously a dry campus. That means alcohol is prohibited on East Campus regardless of age. Dean Lash, yes. So I'm 22 years old. I'm just out here talking, walking along the wall. I can have alcohol. You can't. Even if you're 21, East Campus is dry. Unsafe, irresponsible behaviors include participating, facilitating drinks or progressive parties, having hard liquor of any kind, use of an attempted use of fraudulent ID or another's identification to obtain alcohol. In plain terms, having a fake ID. You may or may not go to an on-campus or off-campus social gathering. One may have from high school or other places a fake ID. Please don't bring that with you. Put that on your list of to do not bring, because if you have that, by all means. And if you just don't want to have it, that is a violation of state law, but also of our policy. Please make sure, even if you are of age, our transfer students of age, anyone of age, just making sure you are abiding by this policy. For my graduate professional students, your code of conduct within specifically your program may have certain behaviors regarding this. So just making sure you're abiding by that as well. Next slide. Amnesty. So again, it's not if students will make a mistake, sometimes it's when. And again, that provides us an opportunity to learn. So I obviously we do have students who may put themselves in a situation to engage in a substance that may be within or under the legal drinking age, whether it's a smoking substance or alcohol substance. We don't want you all to be afraid to report, call the RA, contact our office regarding because not being afraid of getting in trouble. We want to make sure that first and foremost, if someone is affected by any substance, you immediately call 911 so we can get that person aid. We can deal with the educational conversation that comes with what happened, what did you learn, all those things. This doesn't provide a free pass. We just want to make sure that we're educating students regarding certain things so that way they can learn from it. So again, we have an amnesty provision to where if you utilize this, this won't initiate a disciplinary process. It's under our safety piece within our alcohol clause. Next slide. So with that, the amnesty provision applies to any students whose health or safety is at risk or who in good faith seeks medical assistance for themselves, any student or student organization who in good faith seeks medical assistance from university personnel, local law enforcement, first responders, another individual, any student or student organization that swiftly takes action to stop behaviors related to hazing. I have seen students call the Duke University Police Department. Hello, officer. Like, I had too much to drink. I need assistance. Can I go to the hospital? That would qualify our amnesty. So making a good faith effort into making sure that you're good or appears good. Amnesty provision does not excuse or protect students who or student organizations who repeatedly or deliberately violate university policy, exempt a student or student organization from any criminal or other legal consequences associated with alcohol, drugs, or any hazing, or preclude the university from addressing additional policy violations discovered during an investigation. So let's say someone is super intoxicated, passed out on campus, off campus. DUPD shows up to the scene, they see a fake ID. Amnesty would qualify the alcohol, but it would not protect you from a allegation of fraudulent ID. So just making sure you all are aware of that. Next slide. So again, no formal disciplinary action or outcome will be imposed solely for violations related to alcohol, drug, or hazing by reporting Duke students who sought medical assistance for themselves and or a Duke student organization that sought medical assistance for another student. However, students for whom the amnesty provision is enacted may be required to attend an alcohol or drug education program through our phenomenal Duke Wellness office, complete an educational assignment, and then just by law, the university reserves the right to require parental notification if a student under the age of 21 is transported. And then by law, if a student is under the age of 18, we are, legally required to notify a legal guardian or parent. Next slide. Academic dishonesty, big one. This is a new one that we made over the summer regarding acceptable use of AI, absence of a clear statement from a course instructor expressly granting permission, the use of generative artificial intelligence, AI tools to complete an assignment, exam, or other academic assignment is prohibited. The unauthorized use of AI shall be treated similarly to cheating or unauthorized assistance and or plagiarism. This policy right now, if you go on our website, is not present. We are currently revising our website to reflect the Duke Community Standard that it's been approved. So you all in the beginning of the year will get information about this via email, and this website will be updated by moving for sure. Lying, cheating, plagiarism, all are components of our academic dishonesty piece. What is a faculty student resolution? So it's a one-time optional resolution process for minor and appropriate cases of academic dishonesty cases involving Duke undergraduate students. Some of our graduate and professional programs, they have a component of this over the past years. They'll consult with us regarding what do we do with academic dishonesty violations. And ideally, This is reserved for, first time offenses, something minor. And ideally, a professor has to want to pursue this option with a student. It's through our Adobe sign piece where you would meet with a student, or a faculty member would meet with you as a student regarding the alleged misconduct, right? And one of us, one of my peers or myself would be present in the meeting in an observational role just to ensure that, that meeting is going appropriately. Ideally, that faculty member or course instructor would present the facts of the case, give their proposed resolution. Due to you, due to me witnessing you looking at someone's exam, you get a 0 on that exam and you can't sit by that friend. You have the opportunity to give your perspective in that meeting. I tell students all the time that I'm meeting with, there's a difference between, being listened to and agreed with. So they can listen to your rationale, but a faculty member reserves the right not to agree with it. And you, after you're provided an opportunity to give your rationale as to maybe why you didn't do this, or maybe I was looking near my friend's direction because my neck was hurting. Hey, that may not have been used before, right? Like, and that could be true. They'll determine, the faculty member, if that's something that they would consider to revoke the FSR or consider it. You'll have 5 days to make a decision off of if you'll sign it. An FSR, if you sign it, is not a part of your disciplinary history unless there's a subsequent violation of the academic dishonesty throughout your tenure at Duke. And then if you sign it, you have a copy, your course instructor has a copy, our office has it, then we would then email that signed copy to your academic dean. So this is an adaptable resolution. Back in my day, when I first started working here at Duke in 2019, a first offense of academic dishonesty used to be 2 semesters suspension. That's a little punitive. So this is the restorative approach to be able to help students understand the importance of their actions and to make sure that they don't put themselves in a situation to be removed if necessary from Duke. Next slide. General policy, cannabis, other illegal drugs. Duke is a smoke and tobacco-free campus. Cannabis or other illegal drugs may not be permitted, no, are not permitted in residence halls or on Duke's campus. Drug paraphernalia are also prohibited. Students are not prohibited to use or distribute prescription drugs in other ways that's not intended by a prescribing physician. So what does that mean? Hey, Dean Lash, yeah, I have a vape. I want to vape. It's THC. It's legal. You can vape legally in North Carolina. However, Duke property does not allow you to, Duke University does not allow you to smoke at all. So just recognizing that as a private institution, having those laws in tech. Next slide. Oh, hazing is defined by any intentional or reckless situation created, whether on or off university premises, that is potentially harmful to an individual's physical, emotional, or psychological well-being, regardless of an individual's willingness to participate or its relevance to an individual's membership status in a recognized or unrecognized student organization. This all derived through the Stop Campus Hazing Act that was passed right before President Biden's transition to President Trump in terms of increasing transparency regarding hazing reports. Every institution that receives federal funding has to have a hazing transparency report, has to increase efforts upon hazing awareness. I think when people think of hazing, they may automatically think of alcohol, but it's anything potentially reckless. To one's emotional, physical health, irregardless upon one being willing to participate. So shout out to you all for completing the hazing module. If you haven't, you have time still. It's due in August, ensuring that, we're doing all we can to ensure that students are aware of of how they should be treated, if there's a mistreatment, and what they're supposed to do with that. Next slide. If you scan the QR code, this is our instant reporting link. This is where students, staff, faculty, parents can anonymously or write their name and whatnot. Due to FERPA, Family Education Privacy Rights Act, we would never say, oh, this person told us this. This is also a way for us to allow folks to feel comfortable in reporting any concern, whether it's academically related, non-academically related. I tell students all the time, maintaining the anonymous information of the source is possible, but sometimes we're limited to the extent of action that can be taken against an alleged respondent. And respondent is someone who allegedly violated said policy. Harassment, creating unwelcoming environments. This entire policy, harassment, sexual misconduct, is governed by our Office of Institutional Equity. Any reports that we receive and that reporting link from the QR code from the previous slide has that form as well. any type of harassment claims is governed through their policy. And then if after their assessment, if it's something that's not within their um, purview, then it can be shifted to our office to adjudicate. Again, this is any unwelcome, persistent conduct or behavior towards roommates, community members that is persistent and interferes with one's ability to live comfortably or participate in activities within the residential community. Safe to say, you all, any unwelcome conduct, you all are learning each other. For some of our first time folks to live in a residence hall or an apartment, or just in Durham in general. So just making sure that your actions align with your values and also aligns with one's comfort, because you don't know, whether non-intentionally or intentionally what you're doing that could, aid in that can negatively impact one's comfortability. So again, there's a process for this, but I think, through communicating, what one is comfortable with, what one is not comfortable with, a lot of students will be like, oh, well, I was just joking, but just making sure that your humor doesn't aid in one's, uh, negative effect mentally or psychologically. Next slide. So sexual misconduct, like I mentioned, sexual misconduct refers to sexual gender-based harassment, sexual or gender violence, sexual exploitation, relationship violence, sex or gender-based stalking. All of that is governed through our Office of Institutional Equity, our PPD, HRM, Title IX, all those things. They investigate primarily for that. And then if there's something not in their purview, it would be shifted to my office. Next slide. Oh, so this is the big one. This is something that we revised this past summer. I won't read the entire thing, but I'll focus on the new content. Recording, photographing, filming, live streaming, emphasis on live streaming, or otherwise capturing an image of an individual in violation of university policy, posted facility rules, program requirements, express instructions, is also prohibited. Making sure that unauthorized use of reproduction, alteration, manipulation, including digitally altered or AI generated content is strictly prohibited. Just in this world of AI, not just on the academic side, but making memes, making fun of folks, you really want to be careful with these things. So ensuring that consent is captured in that. So that was one thing we needed to revise, and we have. So again, this is not currently, the details isn't currently listed on the website, but it will be present this year. Fire safety, Dean Jill.
Hello, back again. So, once again, my name is Dean Jill, and I'm going to talk a little bit about fire safety. All right. So we're gonna talk about flammable items, right? So we know that you want to decorate your room, and we want this to be your home away from home. And we are so excited to see the best decorated room. I love walking around on move-in day and seeing everyone's perfectly pristine room. And there's a couple things that I need you to think about before you buy anything. One, candles, incense, hookah, or any other open flames are not permitted on campus. The caveat is you're allowed to own a candle on campus, but you cannot light it. So I would just suggest leaving the candle at home, unless you just want a decorative piece. But if it does get lit, you will end up going to conduct. So we just let that go, maybe a nice little room spray for the ambiance. Um, Certain appliances are prohibited due to like heightened fire hazards. Please check the HRO website for a full list, or your housing licensure should also have some information. But anything with an open heat source, so a hot plate is just prohibited. So think if you get a small coffee machine, think a Keurig, and not the coffee machine that has that open hot plate on the bottom, because any hot plates are considered a fire hazard. No tampering with smoke detectors or fire extinguishers. This is really important. We've seen students try to cover the smoke detector or let off a fire extinguisher when we're not allowed to, when it's unnecessary. And both of those things can be dangerous and damaging to the facilities around us. So please make sure you're not doing that. Um, if you do tamper with any type of fire extinguisher, fire, like smoke detector, any of those things, it does run the risk of you losing your housing. So please make sure that you're not doing that. Any ceiling coverings is prohibited. So anything hanging from the ceilings is also a fire hazard. Um, and then we are, as Dean Lash said earlier, we are a smoke-free campus. So please, no smoking in the halls or on campus. And then any items blocking any sort of egress. So that's your exits to your room or to the building. So if you have a bike, There are lovely bike racks that you can attach your bike to. We're asking that you don't leave those in the fire in the entranceway or in the stairwell. And I know we love a mat and we love an entry mat, but that is a fire hazard and a tripping hazard for folks to get out. So if you have any mats, you need to have them in your room. They can't be outside, including any like shoe racks and things like that. Everything needs to be in your room and nothing can be in the hallway. And then making sure that you're not decorating more than 10% of your wall or door, because that can too be a fire hazard. Fire drills, everybody loves them, right? By North Carolina state law, we have to have two per semester, and they have to be one in the day and one in the evening. So we promise that we're not just like having a fire drill just for the funsies. We have to do it to be in compliance with the state. With that being said, if your community fails a fire drill, we have to do it again. So you are required to leave the building when the fire alarm goes off. You won't know that it's a drill. It could be real. So treat every time a fire alarm goes off like it's real. Take We will have in your first floor meeting, you will understand what your fire alarm sounds like. So our RAs will sound that for you so that you can hear it. And then they'll also tell you where you should evacuate to. Please make sure that you're respectful to all of the staff that are there when we're running these drills, or if it's real, so they make sure that you're as safe as possible. You can find a fire extinguisher on every floor and a pull alarm on every floor as well. So if something does happen, please make sure you're doing that, but please do not use them for anything else other than an emergency. Power strips. This one, very, very important. If I could have you listen to one thing about buying anything before you come to campus, it's the right kind of power strip. So you need a power strip that has overload protection and has a like on and off switch. This will allow it to turn off if it overheats. And I know that people are like, oh, it's a power strip, it's fine. We have had small fires start from these power strips not being used correctly. So please make sure that you get the right power strip. And if I were you, I'd buy more power strips than not, because you can always hand them to a friend if they need one down the hall, or you can use it at another time, or your parents can take it home. But I would suggest get the good power strip with the on and off switch, and all the things that are listed here are approved by our fire safety folks, and it's really helpful to us to make sure we ensure your safety. Next. So daisy chaining and extension cords. We are not like, if it does not have an on and off switch, you cannot use it. So you cannot have an extension cord, only power strips. And then daisy chaining is what you can see here, where like people are plugging in one power strip to another power strip, and we can't do that because that is a fire hazard. It will overload it and then it'll start sparking, and we don't need that. You can see a photo. This really happened in our residence hall, and this is a photo from what really happened in our residence halls. So we really want to make sure that we're safe. So please make sure that you're using the right kind of power strip, and you're not connecting them one to another. Like I said, buy multiple so that you can have, so you're not overloading one or attaching one to another, because that can be a fire hazard. All right, our guest policy. So students are allowed to have up to three guests, or you're allowed to have a guest for 3 consecutive nights. We do not have a check-in system for your guests. So you are responsible for anything that your guest does. As Dean Lash will tell you, like we've had folks who their guests have come in and trashed the halls, and they end up in conduct for what their guest did. You need to make sure that you explain to your guests that they're a representation of you. So if they caught doing something, you will go through conduct for that. So we don't want that to happen. So make sure your guest knows they need to cool it whenever they come here. Students must communicate with their roommate for any overnight guests. That's a conversation to have with your roommate. If you can't find a consensus, every student has an RA, every student has an RC. So we are more than happy to help facilitate those conversations with you, but you should be asking your roommate before just having people over to your space, especially overnight. Please make sure all parties adhere to your roommate agreements. You'll have a roommate agreement that you'll get in the first week of classes, and every first year student is required to fill this out. If you're a transfer or an upper class student, we highly encourage it, and we will follow up with you and be very annoying. So, you might as well just fill it out for us anyway. Students are responsible for their guest behavior, as I said before. Quiet hours. Generally, we have courtesy hours 24/7. So courtesy hours just means that we shouldn't be having the loudest music possible happening throughout the evenings or during the day, because people might be sleeping, taking a nap, studying. So we always have courtesy hours. which means that you shouldn't be able to hear your music 3 doors down. So if you have a neighbor directly next to you and it's a little loud and they knock on your door, be respectful and turn the music down a little bit, right? Or go to a common room. We want you to have community. We want you to be buddy and share space with each other, but we also want to be respectful of those who are in our halls, in our community. So make sure that if somebody does ask you to turn it down, just turn it down, or you can move to a common space where you can be a little bit louder. So prohibited items, like I said, we've got a full list here, but there's also a list on the website. If you have a question, more than happy for you to reach out to us and ask anything very specific, because there'll be things that we don't catch, but any kinds of weapons at all and any accessories to those weapons are completely prohibited. If you are found with a weapon on campus, that also would lead to you getting your housing removed or maybe even being trespassed from campus. So please make sure you understand that any kind of weapon is a complete no-go here. And if you are a fan and you collect them, all this stuff, leave them at home. Tell your parents to shine them for you, but please don't bring them to campus. Any hot plates, candles, halogen lamps, LED strip lights. This is a really big one. I know we love to see it as like the traditional like college thing with the strip lights everywhere. They destroy the walls and they also can be a fire hazard at times. So they are prohibited items, but you can have the Christmas lights with like you can get the small command hooks that you can use to hang those up. Those are a lot better on our walls and they are a lot safer. The only thing is you can't daisy chain those uh Christmas lights, but you can use those in lieu of the LED lights. Any water beds or replacing your furniture at all, you have to keep the furniture that's in your room. You have to keep that furniture. That's desk, chair, bed, dressers, all of that. So I suggest do not buy anything large until you get to Duke and you can figure out what actually fits in your room because every room is a little bit different because we're an older campus, especially on East. A lot of those rooms, we can't tell you the exact size of each because they're all a little bit different. So make sure that you get here and then buy your big items because you have to keep all of the Duke provided furniture in your room. Personal owned air conditioners, you cannot do this. Every building either has central AC or has an AC unit, so you do not need to provide your own. Pets that are not approved by SDAO, you need to go through SDAO if you want any form of pet other than, I believe, a fish. You could have a fish in a very specific size tank, but other than that, everything else needs to go through SDAO. They are really great. They love to talk to students. So if you need to have a service animal or anything like that, please reach out to them sooner rather than later. And we ask that you do that before you bring your animal to campus. Alcohol and prohibited items. So we talked about this. If you're on East Campus, alcohol is a hard no all around. If you're on West Campus, you can have alcohol, but only beer, wine, and seltzer, no hard liquor, and you're allowed to have glass in your room, but not outside of your room. So just keep that in mind. Cannabis or other drugs completely prohibited. And then that should say string lights, not strong lights, but here we are. And then check on the Housing and Residence Life website and your terms and conditions for your housing. This is really important and it will answer a lot of the questions that you may have. Room and community damages. So when you come in, you're going to get a lot of information. You're going to get your key. You're going to go through Brody and get all this information. If you're on West, you're going to get your key and you're going to go through our welcoming section. It's going to be really, really great. The thing I need you to remember is one, put your key on a key hook as soon as you get it. I can't tell you how many times we have gotten lost keys on move-in day. And then make sure you fill out your RCR form, which is your room condition report. This report, as soon as you get into your room, before you move all your stuff in, look around the room to see if there's damages, if there's chips in the paint, if there are damages to the furniture, any of that stuff. Take a picture and document it. That way, at the end of the year, when we go back through and we do our inspections, that you don't get charged for any damages. If you do not fill out your RCR form, you cannot fight any damages that are given to you. So I'm going to say that twice is if you do not fill out this RCR form, you cannot fight any damages billed to your bursar account at the end of the year. So I know there's going to be a lot of things happening on move-in day, but if you heard nothing, please make sure that you do this because we get a lot of folks at the end of the year. It's like that was there in the beginning of the year, but we check those spaces, we'll document things. But if we don't document it and you don't document it, we cannot go through with that because we have no documentation. So please make sure that you are filling out your room condition report as soon as you get into your room. Dean Lash?
Yes. So, what are the various type of meetings within the conduct process? So, I'll start off with our administrative conference. So, that's an educational non-disciplinary meeting. I'm gonna give you an example. So, ideally, sometimes we may have students who, and it doesn't matter if it's first year, campus, West Campus, or our apartments, graduate housing community. Let's say allegedly there is smoking of cannabis, and we're not able to determine where is it coming from. Maybe the three rooms that you hear, there's a smell that Durham PD comes out to, well, Duke University Police comes out to be able to assist to figure out where's it coming from. We can't track. That RC would have an administrative conference with those three rooms just to have, an educational, hey, I don't know if you're doing this. We don't have enough evidence to say you are doing this, but just for us to know, hey, we had a conversation about said misbehavior, because if we do receive information that this is coming out of directly your room, you can't say, oh, I didn't know. So it's really just to make sure that we gathered all the important details to have a conversation and inform them of, hey, if you're doing this, this violates the policy. Therefore, if you're not, please don't. Your guest behavior, hey, I heard that your guests have been taking, ripping down exit signs. We don't have proof that it's your guest, but if we do find out those things, so really more of a proactive conversation, just to be transparent with you in terms of that. I think we're ready for the next one. And then administrative hearings. So that's if we do receive information, documentation via photo. Let's say you're hosting a party, a social gathering, and there's alcohol present. RA knocks on the door, ask, the room owner, let me speak with the room owner. Everyone leaves the room. RAs will not be chasing y'all. They're trained to, allow y'all to leave because by all means they know the information of who lives in the space. And then in an administrative hearing, you're meeting with an RC or an ARC, Assistant Resident Coordinator, and they're going to talk to you. They're going to read you the incident report that was submitted, and they're going to show you the documentation, pictures of the alcohol that was in the space allegedly. They're going to ask you for your perspective, and you may say, "Hey, well, RC so and so, there's no evidence that I consumed it. If it's possession of your space, you're responsible for what's in your space." So then that way they would, in that meeting, they're talking to you, frankly about, hey, being mindful of your actions or your guests' actions. Sometimes people's guests put them in uncomfortable situations, like Dean Jim mentioned. So we've seen it. So then this is just, something to be aware of. And then at the conclusion, they'll tell you a range of what the outcomes could be, whether you receive a warning. The lowest level of an outcome is a warning, disciplinary probation. And we're not even going to talk about suspension or expulsion because that's not going to happen in this space, right? Speaking great things into existence. So yeah, that's those pieces. And then typically rights during a hearing include the right to receive advising, the right to be informed of the alleged policy violation way before you're meeting with said dean or said RC or ARC. We want you to give your perspective. Again, we have a perspective from the incident reporter, but that's not everything. We want to know what you're thinking and whatnot. Receive advisement. We have community standard advocates, CSAs. So those are trained students and staff that we train annually to give advice to students in the disciplinary process. And then the right to provide contact information of witnesses that may have been there during, before, or after said alleged incident. And then to submit evidence. Next slide. So then they're going to document the incident report in the IR portion. So again, a hearing officer, which can be a dean in my office or an RC or assistant resident coordinator, they'll let you know. They'll read you the incident report. You'll receive an email of the alleged incident. We plan meetings based on your course schedule that's located in Duke Hub. If there's an issue with said meeting, it's your responsibility to notify us. We make exceptions to, of course, family emergencies, things of that nature. But if you're not in class, we reserve the right to be able to meet with you. If you miss a meeting, we will aim to make a reschedule meeting. But then if you miss that one, then we reserve the right to make a decision without benefit of your input. So again, depending on the gravity of the situation, typically residential misconduct, it's handled by an RC or or I'm assistant residence coordinator. If it's something heightened, it can come to my office. Of course, non-academic misconduct, our office will deal with. Off-campus misconduct, we'll deal with. And then academic dishonesty, of course, our office will deal with. Um, Again, like I mentioned, you're going to have an opportunity to give your perspective. And and sometimes we may not have everything all at once. If it's an academic dishonesty piece, you give me information, I will go to your faculty member to be like, hey, I received this. Can you give me a response? So we're very thorough. And then you will receive a final outcome letter that will explain anytime a student's found responsible, whether it's a residence coordinator case or a case that one of the deans in our office deals with, you'll receive a rationale as to why they're finding you responsible. And then you have the right to request a conduct board. And a conduct board is just student, staff, and faculty that can hear a case. They don't know of the prior decision that was made. Sometimes for our complex cases, we automatically refer it to a conduct board versus a one-on-one meeting and administrative hearing. Administrative hearing is also just between you and the hearing officer. No parents or no other folks can be present in that space. You can get advising beforehand. So it's just those pieces. Next slide. Undergraduate reporting policy. So this is what I mentioned in terms of a reprimand is a formal warning, discipline, probation. That creates a reportable history until one graduates. If a student received discipline probation as a sophomore, let's say, we would report that to third parties and whatnot until graduation. Transcript, disciplinary probation and a reprimand is not a part of a transcript notation. The only things that's a part of one's transcript notation is suspension and expulsion because it's permanent. And a faculty student resolution isn't a part of one's reportable disciplinary record unless there's a second violation. And then both of those violations would be part of one's reportable disciplinary record. And then amnesty, like I mentioned, if you calling for assistance, medical assistance for any substance, that is not a part of the reportable disciplinary record. Again, we there are outcomes that may not be reportable, so a reprimand or disciplinary probation, depending on if one graduates, but we keep records of matters required through FERPA, the Family Educational Privacy Rights Act. And then staying safe on campus. DUP officers are fully commissioned by the state of North Carolina and have full arrest power. Blue light phones, please do not prop open doors. I used to work in residence life before making this transition over to the Dean of Students office. And you don't want to prop open any doors. Again, we want to assume positive intent. But granted, we don't know everyone in our space, so you want to make sure that you're being safe for yourselves and for others. Definitely save this phone number for DUP. 911 goes automatically to Durham Police. And then I'll kick it off to Jill for this one.
Yes, we love how friendly and amazing all of you are on campus. And sometimes that can present us some safety risks. So we want you to create community, hold the doors, all of those things. But if you have not seen anybody walk into your residence hall before and you don't know that person, do not let them into the residence hall, okay? Always lock your door to your bedroom, even when you're going to take a shower. I know it sounds crazy and you're like, oh, Dean Jill, nobody's gonna go into my room. And I'm here to tell you that it's happened. And we don't love that it happens. It doesn't happen like super, super frequently, but it does happen. And we want to make sure that your belongings are safe and that you are safe. So when you leave your room or when you're in your room, lock your door so that we make sure that nobody mistakenly walks in. And that's normally what happens, especially in the evenings. People come back from a party and then they mistakenly walk into a room that they think is theirs. Please make sure you lock your door so you make sure that nobody walks into your space that you don't want to be there. And that includes locking your door when you leave, for class, for the bathroom, all of those things. Make sure you lock your door. Especially on East Campus, we are amongst our Durham community on East Campus. And like I said, most of the time we're completely fine. But that 1% where somebody does wander into our residence hall, we do want to make sure that your items are safe and that you have locked your doors. Walked with others. If it's late at night, we always value the buddy system here. Make sure if it's not your roommate, find a person in your EXO group that you'll really love to be around. And if you're in the library locking in and studying real late, call DUPD and request a safe ride home. We want to make sure that you're safe and that you're walking in groups. Like I said, we don't have a lot of things that happen super often, but we never want that one time to happen with you. So make sure that you are being safe when you're going out. You can use the LiveSafe app and the bus system. Both of those things can help. So your LiveSafe app, you can connect that with your parents, with your roommate, with your friends, so that when you're walking home, it'll give you an estimated time of what time you'll get home. And if you haven't checked in on the app again, it will just automatically call 911 and dispatch them to your location. So make sure that's a great app. When I was in college, I used that with my mom as well. And it was great. So make sure you're using it, whether it be with your parent or with a friend, so that someone knows where you are if you do happen to be by yourself. If someone is sick or injured, call your RA. We have an RA that is on call during the entire school year and in the summer. So 24/7, 365, there's somebody on call. So please make sure if somebody is sick or injured, you can call your RA. They are going to call the ambulance most likely, or they'll call the RC on call depending on the situation. So make sure you're calling for help, but your RA is always your first line of defense. And then always evacuate when there's a fire alarm. I know I said this previously, but we really need you all to understand if we fail our practice sessions, they will come back and do it again. And you never know if it's a drill. So make sure that if you hear a fire alarm, you're exiting the building, and you don't need to go back to your room and grab a bunch of stuff. Just leave the building and make sure that you're safe. So the Duke Alert system. These are outdoor. We have blue lights all around campus. You can use those blue lights to call 911 at any point. So if you feel unsafe or you need somebody to help, you can find a blue light on campus, hit that blue light, and then the police will be able to come, especially if your phone is dead. That's normally when I've seen students use those. If your phone's dead and you're requesting a safe ride, you can use that box. And there's also a campus-wide text and email service that send out emergency notifications that you're signed up for once you get on campus. And then if you have not gotten them, if you're not getting those Duke alerts, make sure you sign up for them when you get to campus. If you just Google Duke Alert System, you'll find the website and you'll be able to enroll there. So we are a community, and I'm really excited for you all to be here and be a part of this community. We hold each other accountable and understand that our behaviors don't just affect us, but they affect the larger group. For some of you, this might be your first time away from home. For others, it may not be, but adapting to a new community that's not blood related or folks that you've grown up with is a new and scary thing. And we understand that it's going to take time to gel and get to know each other. But we want us to try our best to show up the best that we can. So if you are being disruptive in the residence halls, if you are not being a good community member and being disrespectful, please understand that one of our staff members will jump in because we want to protect the amazing community that we build here at Duke. So we want you to be connected. We have anything and everything you can get connected with. And we want to make sure that you feel safe here as well as everybody else on campus feels safe here. I tell students all the time that I will make sure that you can voice your beliefs, talk to people in a respectful manner and be able to have respectful discourse. But as soon as it gets disrespectful, it will be something that we shut down. So we want to make sure that you feel connected and like we are a community, but make sure you understand you are responsible for your behavior, and us holding you accountable to a standard is just ensuring that we have really quality community on campus.
And to note what Dean Jill mentioned, I think most of the time when I'm talking to students, it's oftentimes not what they did, but how they did it, the tone in which they're using. So again, this is a learning environment for a lot of people. So what may be appropriate at home may not be appropriate, here. So just recognizing, just the power of the power influence of how you move. And again, even if you find yourself in an uncomfortable situation, when emotions are high, logic is low, oftentimes, own what transpires, and then it's still a learning moment, it's still an educational component. So we're looking forward to having you all here. You will see us live. And proud to welcome you and your families and loved ones during move in. Shoot, next month, which is literally Saturday, crazy. So no, thank you all so much. This is Dean Jill and I's contact information if you want to, if there's any questions that we weren't able to address today. But no, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dean Lash and Dean Solomon. This is your opportunity to ask questions. We only have a few minutes left, so I would encourage you and ask if you're asking us to repeat something, or you think that it's in a Res Life policy that would easily be found on the website. I would encourage you to do the research, right? That's part of being a responsible community member, is also knowing how to find the information. And I might ask one of our panelists or folks behind the scenes to re-enter some of the core URLs in the chat so people have them easily accessible. Again, we're going to go through some of these as quick as we can. You might get a chat response, you might get some verbal, and we'll see how many questions we can get to in about 9 minutes. Um, all right. If your roommate breaks a housing rule, would they also face consequences? How do you decide who is responsible and if it's an individual or both people in a room? Dean Joe.
Absolutely. So if your roommate violates any housing policy, know that just like Dean Lash said, you are innocent till proven guilty, right? It is not a like we assume that you did it or whatever. You may like so if there's alcohol found in your room, if you're not in the room, you still may be called in to have a conversation about did you know there was alcohol in the room? Was it yours? Things like that. But it doesn't automatically mean that you're now in trouble. It's having a conversation about, hey, if you knew that this was here and you knew it was a policy violation, we are going to hold you accountable for that. And like, it doesn't mean it's the end of the world or everything goes down. But if it's not yours, we are going to listen to you. And if your roommate corroborates, like they didn't know it was there, it's not theirs, then it doesn't automatically mean that you're in trouble. So be honest with your roommate about what you're comfortable with in the room. And if you really are not getting through to your roommate or you're having really strong difficulties, talk to your RA and they will be able to help you through that conversation.
Awesome. I love this proactive question. Are command strips the most recommended for use of hanging if we're talking about protecting the walls?
Yes, command strips are the best option for us. Just make sure you get the good command strips. Don't get the Gorilla Glue like strip things. I've seen those where like it's like plastic, it's clear, and it looks like it kind of looks like a command strip, and it's like tape almost. Those destroy the walls. So command strips and taking them off with the instructions is what's going to help prevent the damage to the wall.
Dean Lash, can you explain more what we mean when we say East Campus is part of the Durham community?
Yes. Um, Great question. So East Campus is predominantly not too far walking distance from downtown Durham. So you'll see East Campus. There's a beautiful wall that many Duke community members walk alongside. I believe there's also a parade that exists around the Duke East Campus area. So it's literally in the heart. It's near the heart of Durham. So it's near the campus community. A lot of students may try to walk right across the street to go to different places and whatnot. So yeah.
Um, Dean Joe, where can students find the room condition report? Can you go through that process? How do they get that when they arrive?
Yes. So when you come in, you're going to see like QR codes, you're going to get a handout, like it will be everywhere. So when you get your key, they're going to tell you again to fill out your room condition report, and you'll most likely get a little postcard with a QR code for it, and that is where you fill it out. So as soon as you hold on to the postcard and the key, please don't drop your key, and go to your room, look inside, take some pictures, fill out your report as soon as you get inside.
Great segue. Real question. I get the fear. How many keys do students get to their dorm rooms, and what happens if you lose it?
Okay, you get one key to your dorm room, but you also get a mail key. So the mail key, that has nothing to do with residence life. Okay, so I'll be honest about that. That's all mail services. But from us, you're only going to get one key to your room. I know it's going to make you look like a very targeted freshman. I hear that. And if you get the lanyard and you put it around your neck, at least for one day, you can put the key on and you won't lose it. If you do lose the key, I believe it's $135 charge. I'm looking at MJ to maybe be in the chat to tell me if I'm a little off on that. But it is a charge to your Bursar account to redo the locks on your door because you not only have to pay for redoing the locks on the door, but also getting your roommate a new key as well. So if you do lose it, it is about like $135 charge, I believe. And more information will come in your first floor meeting, but know that it's a pretty pricey charge.
Can one of you talk more about how we think about safety, knowing that we are part of Durham? How do we talk about with our students?
Dean Lash.
No, I mean, no, that's a great question. So I think as close as we are to the Durham community, we do not have a lot of I think, like I said, I've been here. This is academic year 8, crazy. We don't get that many safety concerns in terms of from the Durham community. I think what we do get is a lot of students who may leave their rooms unlocked and then things being, missing or whatnot, whether it's a prank or vice versa. So I think what Dean Jill mentioned is just making sure that when you're utilizing the restrooms and stuff, just making sure your items are always locked, whether your roommate's present or not. I know folks have the fear of getting out of the shower and, oh, I'm locked out and I have to call the RA on call, but just making sure those pieces. But in terms of safety wise within the community, we've had few to none that exist, and then granted, we have Durham PD. And I'll take the other question too. I think there was if we are aware of someone breaking the rules and we don't report it, will we get in trouble? Great question. I appreciate the transparency. We encourage students, if you see something, say something. Especially something alarming, something that can impact someone else. Granted, if one knows something and doesn't do anything about it, there's not existing language that, oh, you will be punished. But we just encourage folks, if you don't feel comfortable, tell someone that can do something about said issue. But no, that's a great question.
If I might add, Dean Lash, I think one of the things we also talk about with students about living in Durham is no college campus is immune from outside factors, and that we think of it as a learning experience too, right? We want you to realize it's not just a Duke bubble, that we live in a larger community and the impacts of our actions, but also that yes, anywhere in life where you live, you have to think about your neighbors, and hopefully they have great intentions, but you also don't always know your neighbors. And so you have to act responsibly, knowing we're not a closed college campus, right? We can leave campus and people can come onto campus at any time. But we think that's part of your education. So.
Mhm. And we have West Campus alone, we have frequent visitors throughout the year. So not just East Campus, but no, so many visitors visit the Duke Chapel and whatnot, and that's close within some of the residence halls on West Campus as well.
One participant is noting this is a lot of information. It's excellent information. It's important information. In what way is this reiterated when students are here? Um, yeah.
Hey, we understand this feels like a fire hose, and like we are not here to be like, you need to memorize everything that happened in this presentation. On move-in day, our fire safety team, our RA team, the RC team, if you're looking at stuff that you may not be able to bring, there'll be people walking around being very graciously tapping some boxes, being like, I'm so sorry, you're gonna have to take that home. Right. So you're not gonna get in trouble off rip and be like, oh my gosh, there's some LED lights here. We're probably gonna just be like, hey, you can't have that here. You're gonna have to take that home. Right. So we start off with an educational conversation. You'll have 2 floor meetings within your first week. You're gonna have so many upperclassmen helping you through XO that you can ask a lot of these questions to, and they probably will give you more information, and kind of double down on the things that we talked about. If you don't know, please ask, talk to your RA, talk to your RC. We're here to support you. We're not, I know it felt very like these are the rules and it can be very punitive. That's not the community that we have. And even with Dean Lash, I know he works in conduct, but I've seen him come and talk to students, and just have really, really great educational conversations that may feel punitive in the moment, but truly are us trying to educate you on how we can be the best community members that we can be. So know that we're going to have to layer this conversation. Like I said, if you're a first year, you'll have 2 floor meetings. The day you move in, you'll have one, and the Saturday of EXO or Sunday after EXO, you'll have another. So
Mhm.
you'll have a smaller group session where you can ask more questions. And if you're an upper class student, you will have plenty of floor meetings within your community that you can attend to get some of this information too.
And students will receive the introductory, oh, the new Duke Community Standard PDF version, as well as the website will be updated. So gladly, you'll see us around tabling and whatnot. So don't be a stranger. Definitely stay high and whatnot. You'll see us around a lot during the year.
Also, it's part of our orientation philosophy that you can't absorb every single piece of information in the first few days. It's just not possible. So we also want to teach you the tools and the resources and the ways to look up and be a responsible community member, right? So that's why I put links again in the chat. Take a look at our websites, understand the policies. That would be great. So I think we have cleared our Q&A chat. I'm very impressed. It is 5 o'clock on the dot. I want to say a huge thank you to our panelists today for going through all of this information. Like they said, I know they can't wait to greet you all on campus soon. If you have additional questions, go ahead and send them an email, or either office an email. And I'm just going to do a quick plug that we have one final summer transition series left. So one for transfer students and one for first year. You can see information on the screen, but join us next week to learn more about preparing for move-in and orientation. Thanks for your time. We'll see y'all next week.